Okay, part 2 of Metal, September 2017. I don't know if it matters that I keep each video at 30 minutes or try to keep it at 30 minutes. Some, some people just don't want to, they see that the video is an hour and they're just like, I'm not going to watch that. But, maybe you can come back and, watch one video and then take the second one. But anyway, we'll continue September 2017. Some of these records I bought in Michigan, some I bought down here in North Carolina. And this album came out March 20th. We're basically, I bought a lot of hair metal during this time, which is awesome. I really like finding, I get excited, when I see a hair metal record now. I really do. I'm like, oh, even especially if it's a band I don't even freaking know or I've only heard once or twice. I think it's cool. I bought a record up in Michigan recently from a band called Trash. They had one record, like a Swedish hair metal band that was on Atlantic for one record. I was excited to get that record. I don't even know what it sounds like. I'd never heard the band. And they came out early. They came out like 84, 85. So they were kind of early in the scene, but they didn't do anything. But anyway, this record came out March 27th, 85. It's the second studio album from John Bon Jovi. He is Bon Jovi here. 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a insane cover. Like you can't even tell. It's just so much hair and just eyes. Yeah, I don't think I like this cover actually. Even the back picture is all blurry. Makes no sense. And this album is good. When I was listening to, I just listened to this one today. In and Out of Love is the hit song on here, and it is really good. A lot of these songs are actually good. King of the Mountain is actually a really good song too. I really like that song. Tokyo Road is pretty good. To the Fire, I think, is another good one. This record, though, you take all of these songs and you give them to Debbie Gibson, you give them to Tiffany, you give them to Martika. They got a hit album in pop music. This is pop metal. I think that's why pop metal kind of fits for the lighter side of the glam metal scene. And you can even take off the metal. This is like pop rock. Yeah, because I think these songs, the way that they're written, even in some cases on this album, because there's so much keyboards on some of these songs, they are almost pop songs. It's really close to being just a pop record almost. But, they did the hair, they did a little bit of makeup, and they threw in a lot of guitars on every song. And they probably sped up some songs. But yeah, In and Out of Love, that could have been a Tiffany hit or something, Debbie Gibson, Martika, any of those guys. You give that song to one of them and that's a top 10 single. For them. But this is still a good record, but it's incredibly pop. And this one is on the Mercury label. Yeah, Black Mercury, same as Def Leppard. I remember playing my Def Leppard record with the Black Mercury. I had Pyromania when I was a kid. I read that label over and over and over and over again. Just loved it. Anyway, this is a pretty good Bon Jovi record. It's not great, but it's good. Now, this is the big one. August 18th, 86. The third studio album from Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. This is the second cover with the live shot. This record is actually, I think, heavier. I think they pumped up the guitars more on this. Was Richie even in the band? Oh, by the way, my 7,800 Fahrenheit is a RCA club record. Let's see who's in the fucking band. Yeah, Richie was in the band. I wasn't sure. Yeah, so maybe he just said, dude, I need more guitars. because they definitely pumped up the guitars on Slippery When Wet. The keyboards are toned down. There are some songs with heavy keyboards on it, like Let It Rock has a keyboard intro. You know, yeah, there's definitely some keyboards on here, but they're not as prominent as they were on like 1700 Fahrenheit. And I think they rock out a bit more on this album. And all the songs are good on this album. This they just hit, what's his name? Started writing with them. Desmond Child. And yeah, You Give Love a Bad Name. He wrote Living on a Prayer with them. Without Love was a Desmond Child. Yeah, and this album was it just exploded. It went nuts. I mean, yeah, it's a great album. I like it. I don't have any problems with Slippery When Wet. It is what it is. Again, the Black Mercury. And it's a good record. It's a good record. It still holds up. Now this record is pretty special to me. March 31st, 87. This is the 7th studio album from Whitesnake. And this is their self-titled. Kind of bold, not a lot of bands do that, have a self-titled album as their 7th album. It was kind of like a starting over point for Coverdale. The shitty part about this album is John Sykes getting fired because the guitar tone on here, his guitar work on here is fucking incredible, especially on side 1. Crying in the Rain, Bad Boys, Still the Night. Even Here I Go Again. I mean, Still the Night is probably still a top 10 song for me, maybe. As far as nostalgia is concerned, Back to the Future is my favorite movie, even if, it shouldn't be, because it was a movie that, I watched when I was a kid. It had such an impression on me. It made me like movies. This album, Motley Crue was huge influence on me getting into music, but when I heard Still the Night, that guitar tone, it really, and the heaviness, it really prepared me for the heavier stuff that I got into, like the thrash metal and stuff like that, and even death metal. Like the guitar tone on this is really heavy. The riff on there, the Still the Night riff, I love all the heavy parts, and I like when it slows down and then when it kicks in again and the scream. It's just a great song. I used to listen to the side 1 of this album every day after I got out of school. I lived in downtown Detroit at the time. It was not a good experience during that period of time for me. And I would just escape into this record, man. I would play it with my headphones on, full blast. Crying in the Rain, Bad Boys, Still the Night, and Here I Go Again. I love this record for that, just for the memories of that. As the lyrics and the Whitesnake logo. And yeah, Coverdale is peak performance here, man. I mean, when I was a kid, I loved this album so much, I started going to the back catalog, but I didn't like those albums. They weren't heavy. Like they had that bluesy, Deep Purple-ish, guitar tone and sound, and it wasn't heavy like this record was, and the guitar tone wasn't there. It was more bluesy, and I just didn't like that. I mean, I love it now, but back when I was a kid, I wanted more of this, and I wanted heavier stuff, and I hadn't discovered, thrash metal or heavy stuff yet. So this was Crying in the Rain, and especially Crying in the Rain and Still the Night are incredibly heavy songs, and John Sykes, thank him for that, because that guitar tone that he did on this record is amazing. Really good album. This is original or early press on Geffen. Yeah, I found that used pretty cheap. Really, you can find this pretty cheap still, maybe $20, but all right. This album came out April 20th, 87. It's the 2nd studio album from, I think these guys are Swedes. I think they're Swedes. Pretty Maids. This is Future World. Nothing to do with Halloween's Future World, but I don't know if they got their name from Future World from this or not. This is actually a pretty cool record. This is in the vein of kind of a Y&T, type of hard rock, bordering on glam. It's not incredibly heavy. It's still kind of got one foot in Led Zeppelin, one foot in Quiet Riot. It's kind of like it's a modern, pop metal record, or glam metal record, or just hard rock record. They do keyboards on here, which it doesn't get overdone. And yeah, there's some really good songs on here. I've listened to it a couple times. Future World was good, I think, was one of the good ones. Maybe it was these guys who sounded like, who had a song. I can't remember now if they had a song that sounded like Great White or not. But anyway, this is a good record. If you like Y&T especially, this record will fit right into that, sound, that hard rock sound. And this is on Epic. Good record. I think they're from Sweden. I'll throw it up on the thing if I figure it out. There's their Slade Pretty Maids. Where was it? Oh, Copenhagen, Denmark. They're from Denmark. Next album, I had this when I was a kid on cassette. So this is a lot of the stuff, at least some of it, was a lot of nostalgia buys. And when I saw these records, I was, when I was starting to buy records again, these were just like auto buys. I didn't even care what the price was going to be. I was just like, I need these records because I had them when I was a kid and I just really wanted them on vinyl now. This one came out June 17th, 87. And it's the third studio album from Great White. Again, another fantastic cover. These album covers are directed to teenage boys for obvious reasons. You put a cute girl on the cover. Teenage boys are going to be, oh, looks like a cool record. And this is a cool record, actually. There's actually a lot of really good songs on here. All Over Now, Lady Red Light. I had heard that song, and I had heard Still the Night on the radio. That's why I wanted to buy it. I think I had my mom buy it for me or something. And then I also heard Lady Red Light on the radio, and I wanted this album because of that song. So I had both of these on cassette around that time. And then this has Save Your Love, which is kind of like a Still Loving You kind of version, Great White's version of that, where it just has that, really slow melodic, and then it just has that big chorus. It's the power, it's a power ballad, of course. Back this time, almost most of the albums only had one, but then as bands caught on, oh, that's the single that's going to explode, they started putting two or more power ballads on their albums. Anyway, this is a great record. I would recommend it for the album cover and the music. It's really good. And this is on the Rainbow Capital label, black vinyl. This was an original press. This was a cutout, a punch out. Like, I can't believe, I guess I can believe, so this one probably was in the bin after they hit, and probably stuck around. Actually, I think this record, I probably should have done some research, but I think this record was out a little while before it actually hit. And yeah, anyway, I had the punch out, so somebody got this for like $1.99 probably, or $2.99. Now, this one I've only ever seen once in the wild, and this one I got from Michigan. It came out in 1988. I don't have the exact date, and I bought it at Dearborn Music. And it was funny because I found it, and there was a guy walking around, and we started talking about, glam metal and stuff like that. And I bought the Angel records at the same store, and I saw this in there. I got to the J's, and I'm like, oh, shit, look at this record. And he's like, oh, I must have missed that one. And then, a little bit later on, he's like, are you going to buy that record? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm buying that record. So I think he was interested in in this record too. And it's the Jet Boy, Feel the Shake. I have not seen this record since I bought this in the wild. This is a promo. This record did not sell a ton. I don't think it did well. Or as well as a lot of the other glam metal bands. Feel the Shake was a great song, and I remember seeing that on a Headbangers Ball. But this is 89 or 88, so it was, this might have came out late in 88, so, hair metal is kind of winding down a little bit. But these guys had been around for a while too, man. They'd been in the scene, as long as like, the Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. It's just they weren't signed. I think they got their title, their band from New York Dolls song, Jet Boy. It's just a guess. But yeah, these guys are more of like the sleazy, hard rock, Guns N' Roses-esque type stuff. But there is a song on here, I was listening to it today, Hard Climb. That's a freaking Poison song. Listen to that song. They wrote a song as if Poison wrote it. So yeah, they were a little bit trying, I think. I don't know if they were forced into doing that. Like, hey, you guys need to write a single. So like, well, Poison's doing well. Why don't we write a song in the vein of Poison? Because that song, Hard Climb, is... And this was produced by Tom Allen, too. I did not realize that. And Rick Bodie. So Rick Bodie, same guy who produced Poison, or remixed the Poison record. Or no, produced the original Poison record. I wonder if he took a point on this record. It didn't sell. He probably took the 50 grand. But anyway, I never see this. So this is a pretty cool find for me. I don't know, it's not like incredibly expensive. I don't know if just people aren't looking for it, but it's a good record. It's not bad. Feel the Shake is great. And all the other songs are just okay, except for Hard Climb. I think it's Hard Climb. Pure Poison song. And it was pretty amazing. I actually liked it. It wasn't a bad, Poison song that Jet Boy was doing. And it's on the MCA Rainbow label. It's a good album. It's just good. It's fun. But yeah, if you see it in the wild, pick it up. I don't know how expensive it's going to be, but I've never seen it except for this one time that I bought it. This one I've seen a few times. This one came out June 10th, 88. And it's the Britney Fox record, self-titled. Mine has incredible water damage. It's just wavy from the water damage. This is Michigan condition. A lot of records in Michigan get the water damage. The inner sleeve just has lyrics and credits. This is a good record. It has Girl School on it, which is great. Long Way to Love, which is an excellent song. And they do Goodbye to Jane. So again, another band recognizing their roots, where the next version of glam has come from, like these guys are recognizing Slade. Just like, Quiet Riot, they didn't, maybe Britney Fox, I don't know, who knows. I know Quiet Riot weren't necessarily Slade fans, or at least fans of doing Come On, Feel the Noise and stuff like that. They didn't really want to do that. I don't know if Britney Fox wanted to do that, or if they were like, oh, fuck, it worked for Quiet Riot, maybe we'll throw one of them on there. I don't know. But I feel like, and it's just how I feel, right? I don't know for sure. I feel like they didn't do it. I don't even know if it was a single. So if it wasn't a single, that's for sure, to me, means that they just did it because they wanted to do a, Slade song, which I think is cool. These guys are good. Some of these guys were in Cinderella. I can't remember which ones. But it's a good record. If you see it, I'd pick it up if you like glam metal. It has the Cinderella vocal style, which is interesting because Tom Kiefer can sing clean. He's sung clean on some of his songs. And I don't mind that vocal style to an extent. For some reason, I like Britney Fox's version of it better than Tom Kiefer. I think Tom Kiefer tries too hard, and his version of it is just more bad, I guess. And this guy, Tom or Dizzy Dean Davidson, his version of that voice is it probably, you know, somebody who heard both would be like, I can't hear the fucking difference. I think there's enough of a difference that I think Britney Fox does it a little bit better. You know, Dizzy Dean does it a little bit better. I can stand it a little bit better, but he can sing clean too. And I would actually prefer if both those guys sang clean 90% of the time, and they saved that gravelly voice for certain songs or certain parts of songs instead of using it constantly. Um, anyway, just my hot take on that. This album is interesting. October 88. It's the second studio album from Hurricane. This is Over the Edge, which the Over the Edge song is fucking fantastic. Fantastic song. It's the only song on here that was a hit single that the band actually wrote. The other song on here was I'm On to You. I wanted to look this guy up before I did the video, but I forgot. Joe Johnson or something. What's his name? Jeff Jones. He wrote that song, I'm On to You. I don't know who the fuck that is. I'll look it up and see if it's worth putting anything on there. But that's a good song. But they didn't write that hit. And then they also made a mistake on this album. This is a good record. It's not a great record. Over the Edge is fantastic. I'm On to You is a great song as well. Every other song on here is okay. There's a song on here at the end called, I think it's the Baby Snake song, or it might be a hidden track. Yeah, it might be the hidden track. I'm not sure. But it's kind of funny. It has the guy in the band. I think it's the singer Jeff. What's his name? Is it the singer? Or it might be. Maybe it's not even anybody in the band. Just a guy named Jeff. He's making a phone call to this girl who's trying to get to go out with him, and she keeps, you know, blowing him off. I need to wash my hair, or I'm busy. And then she finally just says, you know, fuck you, dude. I do not want to go out with you. And it's kind of like a joke. I don't know if the other girl in the end of the line was part of the joke or not. It'd be interesting if she wasn't. It'd be kind of funny. And then as the last one, you know, the little sister answers the phone. It's like she's not home. She doesn't want to talk to you. So it's kind of a funny song, and it's played over kind of like a Eddie Van Halen kind of riff, and you know, kind of Van Halen drumming and riffing, which is kind of cool. You know, it shows their, you know, influence a little bit. I think these guys were listening to a lot of fucking Whitesnake when they made this record, especially Over the Edge. And I think Over the Edge and I'm On to You could both be Whitesnake songs. They are just, you know, similar to what Jet Boy did, you know, where they wrote a Poison song. I think these guys were writing Whitesnake songs for their band. But this album was produced by Mike Klink, which is interesting. You know, he did the Guns N' Roses. So I think this, I don't know if this was before or after. It'd be interesting. I just don't know that. 88, October 88. Maybe it was right at the same time. And also produced by Bob Ezrin. And the mistake they made is doing the cover of I'm 18. Now, the arrangement on the song, on their version, is really different. It still has the same chorus and everything, but they have this arrangement with the guitar riff, which it doesn't even sound like I'm 18, really. I don't know if that made the song bad or good. It made it different. So I guess I respect the attempt, but that should have been like a last song on either side. It should not have been the second song. It really ruins the flow of this record because it's not that great of a version, even though the arrangement is different. I'm 18 is a really specific song. The way that Alice Cooper sings it, you know, he's singing it kind of ironically, you know, because he obviously wasn't 18 at the time he wrote that song. You know, he was just kind of appealing to the 18-year-old, I guess, inside himself, or saying that, he's still kind of, not grown up or whatever. And it was just an ironic kind of, almost a parody song for Alice Cooper, kind of. And, you know, it's a really good song, and the way Alice does it, he pulls it off. These guys do it like in a serious way, like they're really getting into it. Like he's really singing the I'm 18, almost like, Sebastian Bach singing, like 18 in Life, like really seriously taking that song, taking it real seriously. And it just doesn't sound good. It sounds awful. It sounds weird. Uh, a, a respectable attempt, I guess, but it pretty much fails. But Over the Edge is a great song. I'm On To You is really good. The rest of the album is okay. It's a good album. It's not great, but like I said, I pick up pretty much everything that I see that's hair metal now. I don't pass any of it up. Pretty much. Yeah, it's just the way I am right now. And this is on the Enigma label. So it kind of looks like a Fate's Warning record, but I always think of Fate's Warning when I think of the Enigma. Anyway, good, not great record. Those two songs though are fantastic. Now, this was a good record. This was a steal. I got this for like $30, I think. January 29th or 24th, 89, first studio album. And this is an original press from Skid Row, self-titled. Not much to say about this album except it's fantastic. Every song is good. Midnight Tornado is the only song that I think Sebastian Bach helped write. Or no, Fallon helped write it, which was the original singer. Bach wrote Making a Mess, helped write Making a Mess. That was the only song on here I think that he helped write. Everything else he was not really a part of. So it's kind of interesting, like Bullen and Snake wrote the majority of these songs. I'm curious about the new Skid Row album too. I really am. I like the singer, the guy from Heat, Sweden again. Stealing, like you can't beat him, join him, I guess, in a way. This record was sold to me as with a slight warp. It doesn't affect playback, and it does have a slight warp to it, but it plays perfectly fine. It sounds amazing, and yeah, I'm glad I have an original press of the first Skid Row record. Nothing else to say, really. Great record. Now, here's a record that Bon Jovi never made. June 27th, 89, the first album from Danger. Yeah, this is a Bon Jovi record. I mean, it's in that same style. These guys are a little bit heavier, maybe, but they have the keyboards, very poppy lyrics, poppy song arrangements. I don't know if you could, probably could have a pop artist play these songs and they all do well. This album it keeps getting repressed, but I've seen this record go for a lot of money for some reason, the original press. There's no insert or anything either. Like, it was just a plain paper insert for this album. And if you get the repress on Music on Vinyl, it's the same thing. Like, they didn't add anything extra, I don't think. This is a really good record, though. They had this thing, where like they did Naughty Naughty, they did Bang Bang, Danger Danger. They kind of had the two word same thing. I recently listened to a partial interview with Ted Polly, the singer. He seems like an okay dude, I guess. Yeah, this album is really good. It has a few more ballads on it than, like I said, they were doing multiple ballads at this point. And this is just a solid record, but it's in the vein of the type of glam metal that Bon Jovi was doing at the time. or at least what he was doing in 86, these guys were still doing or trying to do in 89. Record didn't hit that much, you know. Naughty Naughty and Bang Bang did okay on CBS. I remember it got played a few times on MTV, and that's when I bought it. I think I borrowed it from somebody and recorded it, you know, on cassette. It was a girl that I knew, high school. It was good. It's a good album. It's a respectable album. It's good. This is a promo, which is cool. I like getting the promos. Yeah, it's a good album. I remember when I saw it in the bins, I was like, oh shit, I remember this record. Bought it immediately. I think it was kind of expensive. I thought, oh, $30, that's pretty expensive for an album. Yeah, not really, not anymore. Next album, this album came out August 22nd, 89. This is second to last record. This record I found in a bin for like $12 at the time. And this was before the repress. So this was going for, you know, $50-$60 at the time. I got it for incredibly cheap. This is Enough's Enough's self-titled record. There's a lot of music on this record. I listened to it today and like I felt like it was really long. But the songs are really good. The guy's voice, the singer is, what's his name? Chip Zanoff, probably, yeah. No, Donnie Vie. His vocals are interesting, like they're good, but I can see where they could be a little bit grating after a while. He's got a good voice, but it's kind of a whine, it's kind of nasally, and I kind of felt like at certain times, like, yeah, I've kind of had enough of this album just because of the singing. The songs are excellent, but I think on a shorter record, maybe if they only had 8 songs on here instead of 10, I would like this album a lot more. It's still a really good record. The 2 singles on here, New Thing and Fly High Michelle, are both great. Side 2 is really good too. The songs are great. I think I have just a little bit of problem with his voice. Kind of similar in the way like Cinderella, you know, like the gravelly stuff. I kind of gets on my nerves after a while listening to it too much. But, you know, I'm not dragging this album down. It's just I feel like it could have been better if it was a little shorter. It would have been really good if it was a little bit shorter. Right now, it's still really good, but yeah, I just have that one complaint. I don't know why I'm pointing that out over and over again. Great record. I picked this up. I got this, I think, like I said, I think I paid $15 for this. It was crazy. I saw it in a bin and I was like, what? And, you know, I looked it up on Discogs right there and then, and I was like, wow, this record's going for like $50-$60. So I bought it immediately. I kind of bought it because of that, because I never really got into the band at the time. But I'm glad I bought it because it is a good record. And it's on the Atco label. It is a good record, and the 2 singles are good, Fly High Michelle and New Thing. There's some good deep cuts on here too, so not a bad record. All right, here's the last record. This I put under metal just because it kind of fits. It's for a horror movie. It's a horror movie soundtrack that came out for a movie that came out March 8th, 2014. And a friend actually bought this for me. He loves movie soundtracks, and we really enjoyed this movie when we saw it. And the soundtrack was like really synth heavy, and you know, I really like that in, you know, the modern throwback, you know, to synth. But this is the soundtrack to Starry Eyes, which is a great fucking horror movie. It's a movie about an actress who her dreams require sacrifice, and so do they. Fucking fantastic movie. She gets a part in the movie, and yeah, it's just, let's just say Satanism has a part in it. Possession, demon possession, maybe. The guy who did this wrote a whole little thing in here, which I thought was really cool, about writing the soundtrack and recording it. It's just one guy with, you know, all of his equipment. He talks about all the equipment he used and stuff like that, which if I knew about synthesizer equipment, I'd be like, oh, this is freaking amazing, but I really don't. Starry Eyes is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, I would check it out. these labels are really cool. Goes with the theme, and colored vinyl. It's the only colored vinyl I showed today, isn't it? All the other stuff is old. I didn't really show anything new. Mostly new stuff comes on colored vinyl. There's some old stuff that is on colored, but not very often. Black vinyl is now like the exception, right? Not the rule. Anyway, this is actually a really good soundtrack. It has a theme, kind of like if you ever listen to the Phantasm soundtrack, you know how it has that one theme that goes through the whole thing. Same thing here. You know, he brings up his theme in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different songs. You know, some of them are like the first song is really happy and hopeful. And then as it goes on, you know, it gets darker and darker, and, you know, more dread comes up in the soundtrack. And it's a really good soundtrack. I think you can still get it pretty cheap too. So if you like synth soundtrack, like Stranger Things, stuff from Stranger Things or whatever, just use that as an example. Or you like the movie Starry Eyes, support this album because it's really good. And it's really got a really thick sleeve. I think they call it the tip-on jackets, you know, really thick cardboard. Fantastic album. All right, that's all I got for today. I have to go back and create the playlists, and I'll post all that stuff. And that's everything I bought September 2017 for the metal section. I hope you liked it. I hope you watched the video. I know nobody's watching these all the way through. But anyway, thanks.